Thank you for speaking with me about this film Scare Package.
Of course, I'm happy to.
So tell us what initially attracted you to be part of your segment for a Scare Package called the Horror Hypothesis.
Sure. I always love working in Austin, and Paper Street Pictures is based in Austin, so that was really great. But really what got me was that in the audition, um, I talked to Aaron, the director, and I was asking about specific things that were written in the script and how they were going to accomplish a couple of events that happened in the movie. I don't want to give it away, but I was asking how they were going to do special effects, and he was like, "Oh, it's all practical effects." And I was like, "Please hire me for this project. I'm so into practical effects, and if you watch the movie, it'll become clear how cool that is."
Did you when you did the auditioning process, was it just specifically for a horror hypothesis, or basically was auditioned for the entire film?
It was just horror hypothesis. Yeah.
So tell us what you liked about your character, Jessie.
Yeah, well, something I loved about Jessie is that when we were working on it, she sort of morphed into a different character. You know, we shot it pretty much sequentially, and it was supposed to end with a scream, like sort of a classic horror scream. And by the time we got there, Aaron was like, "I don't know if she would do that. Like, I don't think that would happen." And I really appreciated that he had kind of let Jessie come to life as the film was being shot, and she kind of grew and changed, and that was really fun.
Did you have any chance of improvisation, or put something from yourself into this character through this short?
Honestly, a couple of the other actors that were on there are very improvisationally trained and very funny. So they were sort of constantly, they'll give 4 lines. Aaron will just be like, "Go for a little while," and they'll say 4 ridiculous things. And it was like all I could do to not laugh in the background of like, "Hold it together. You don't think this is funny. This is fine." There was absolutely chance for improvisation, but it was really more so about playing a straight man to comedic characters of, just like, I'm not going to react to you. I know you're hilarious, but I'm not even seeing it.
Tell me about the experience on the set, because you said it's practical effects, and I have seen your segment. I have seen the movie. What is it like to be on that set where there's just literally like blood and guts everywhere?
I've never worked on a horror movie before this. It's a genre that I've been a little bit intimidated by, I think, just because I'm too much of a scaredy cat to watch a ton of horror. But it was so communal, because everyone was like hauling in buckets of blood, and like people from other departments would come in and help out. And there were a couple of things, like, I don't think this is giving anything away. We worked in this abandoned hospital in Austin, and it had just been used for another movie set, and they were like, "You can just wreck it, do what you need to do to it." And so getting to watch the people who were on set design sledgehammer down the wall, like demolish this wall that we were going to use, was amazing. People were flinging blood everywhere. And at one point, I'm a roller skater, and they let me wear my roller skates on set. So I was just like roller skating down these like freaky hospital hallways that were like covered in debris and rubble and blood. And I have videos of my feet like going past fake entrails and stuff. It was so much fun.
Wow. We're going to go ahead and assume that you got some of that gunk on you throughout the entire shoot.
Yes, absolutely. There's a scene that I don't believe ended up making the final cut, but I was picking out blood out of my ears for like weeks. It was an absurd amount of blood.
What
Not
did
real
that?
blood. I wasn't picking out real blood from my ears.
Of course. I mean, what was it like to basically have all that fake blood? What was it? Truly sticky, liquidy? Did hopefully you didn't like accidentally taste it.
I during that scene, again, I'm not sure if it'll be on the DVD release. I should ask Aaron. But I got a lot of that blood in my mouth, and it did not taste good. However, I've been told that it was very high quality blood, fake blood. So the viscosity, it wasn't super sticky. It was pretty liquidy. Yeah,
Oh.
but it'll stain. It'll stain anything around it.
So I'm assuming it was like a 2-hour shower at the end of production.
In the middle of the shoot, I kind of gave up. I had to get some of it out because we'd have to like go back and, before a blood splatter, we'd have to match. But the trick that the makeup effects team told me to use was shaving cream got off fake blood, which I was like, okay, I guess I have to go buy some. They were like old-fashioned Barbasol shaving cream is what'll get it off. And it did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a great behind the scenes tip that a lot of people don't know. If I ever encounter fake blood, I should just buy lots and lots of shaving cream.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had the can sitting in my bathroom for like months after because I was like, I didn't use all of it. I don't want to just throw it away, but I haven't, didn't get a chance to get covered in fake blood again.
How did you hype yourself up to be in a horror movie if you're not a horror fan yourself?
Sure. It's not so much that I'm not a horror fan because I love the way that community exists in the world. Like I'm enough of a citizen of the internet to know that horror fans are like the most loyal, the most engaged. There's like so many more horror blogs than there are about like any other genre of movie. So I knew that the crew was going to be like such an amazing, dedicated group of people who were like intense fans. I think part of it was just making peace with the fact that I was not going to know as much as everyone else on the set about like what everything was referencing. And I was, would ask Aaron, like, I don't totally get what's going on here. There's in the finale, since you've seen it, there's a reference to a very specific horror scene. And I had to have that explained to me. So it was less hyping up to get excited to be on the set. I was already thrilled, but more hyping up to ask a lot of questions and sort of get to be like a tourist in the horror genre.
So they did not make you watch like any horror movies in preparation for your scenes, right?
They did not. I wouldn't say that that the Paper Street team is at all a team of people who would be like, you have to be exactly like us. They're very much like everyone's bringing their own flavor to the project. Everyone's bringing something special. But I had someone on set suggest some horror movies to me, and it's like I'd have to watch it in the middle of the day. I'd have to like take breaks when I watched it, and then I still wouldn't sleep for a week.
For horror fans, because this entire movie scare package, horror fans would immediately pick up, all the Easter eggs and all the references to. For your segment, horror hypothesis, did they tell you what some of the movie references that's tied to a horror hypothesis?
Some, I knew some of it. I'd seen. I think an obvious comparison piece would be Cabin in the Woods to this piece, and I'd seen that a couple of times. So I knew some of the horror tropes just from being involved in pop culture and things like that. I think my favorite one that I didn't exactly understand on set and then would sort of see in movies after we shot was there's this cat jump scare where they got a real cat who was very cute. His name was Mars on set, and had the cat sort of like jump out from around the corner. And and again on set I was like, this is cute, but I don't really get it. And then now I'm seeing it everywhere.
Yeah, that's always terrifying, just to have a cat sneak up on you from behind or something like that, or
Totally.
just as a jump scare. So, talk about the rest of the cast that had a chance to work with. Obviously you mentioned that they did a little bit of improv. So most of them are pretty funny, or they half of it's sort of like you.
Totally, no. I think everyone on set was more horror informed than I was, but it was really interesting to get to see the final product as a whole, because I'm fortunate enough to know Emily Higgins, who directed the first segment, Cold Open, who's another director. She also grew up in Austin, and it was so cool to get to see her work in there as well. And the two actresses in her segment are wonderful as well. Yeah, one of the actresses is the owner of Mars the cat, who is in our segment, and then Luxie Banner is another very talented Austin actress. So there were people on there who perhaps I might align a little bit more with, in terms of like, we're a little bit again, tourists in horror. But on my segment, everyone was like super quick, knew every reference, knew exactly what they were talking about, so it was all I could do to keep up.
Now, for horror fans, they're going to notice the main killer for your segment is, they probably wouldn't even notice that it's played by Dusty Rhodes,
Yeah,
former wrestler. How was it working with him?
it was the best. First of all, he is the kindest person on set. He I had a scene where I sort of it was not in the script, this actually happened, tripped and hurt myself a little bit. And I'm really, I don't want to talk about something that happens on set necessarily if I just need to like get through the shoot. And we were, so we were like around a corner about to run from it, and he was the only person on set who like noticed that I was like, I'm fine, I'm totally fine. And he heard that little pitch in my voice of like, oh, that might have hurt. And he was like, are you okay? You good there? And I was like, yeah, thanks so much. He's so sweet, and obviously incredibly talented. Anyone who watches it will be extremely terrified of him. And the makeup effects that they made were horrifying. Very, very scary to be on set with a fully made up Dustin Rhodes.
That's amazing. You managed to run and trip in a horror movie.
Absolutely.
You one more note is a lot of the stuff is practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't one of the scenes where you're basically walking away from a vehicle? Was that a practical effect? Because I can't imagine that you actually did a practical effect and you're doing that walk away without looking back.
You might not be able to imagine it, but that was fully a practical effect. That was something that was a little bit of a secret, and we weren't sure if we were going to do it. We weren't sure we were like going to come back a couple months later. But the car that we used was completely, before the scene that you're discussing, was completely destroyed with fake blood. They had sort of like bought this older car, and so this is the scene where I got a bunch of blood in my mouth and my ears, and that I'm not sure if it made the cut. But the car was already destroyed, so they had to buy it, and they were like, I think we know what we have to do with this. And I obviously didn't get to see it happen because I was walking away from it, and there was so much build up to people saying like, here's what's going to happen, like very serious meetings. No one's joking around. Everyone's being really respectful of the people who are like making that practical effect happen. And to have to run away from something that, I've just been in meetings about how dangerous it is, and not look back and not be able to see what's going on was terrifying. But I knew that by then that the practical effects team was amazing. So it was so great to, run towards the camera away from this very intense practical effect, and then get to see it on the monitors. When I came back around, it was like, I cannot believe that is me even. Like, how cool is that to get to be part of it? And again, like, thanks. I was like patting myself on the back for being in the audition and being like, I feel like there's going to be some cool stuff going on this set. And like, I had no idea that was how it was all going to end.
Well, that's a great ending. And one more thing before I let you go, you know, crazy times that we're actually living in. That's why we're actually talking via Zoom right now. How are you staying sane and creative during this time? Because I know you're a very creative person.
I am. It sort of has only intensified during that. I think everyone's sort of like going into the things that help them feel safe and like they're moving a little bit forward, even if they feel pretty stuck otherwise. I've been knitting and crocheting a lot. I've been sewing clothes, which I took garment construction in college and almost failed the class, so that's like a big step for me. Um, and just doing a couple of things that'll like stretch my brain a little bit while I'm at home. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, hey, Zoe, hey, thank you very much for speaking with me. I wasn't sure whether Scare Package was going to be really scary, but I was laughing so hard throughout the
I'm
interview.
so glad. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you. Next time.
Bye.
Bye now.